We've all had to adapt to using online platforms like Zoom, but are you getting the most out of your communications? I'm Sharon Scott Wilson with Resort Trades. We're the timeshare resort professionals, online and offline information resource. So please check us out at resorttrades.com. Now today, we're speaking with David Costenbotter, whose company, The Contact Group, is a leader in providing online communications, including virtual town halls, events, surveys, polling, and peer-to-peer texting. So the Contact Group's unique teleconferencing platform allows for multiple speakers, moderated Q&A, and polling, no matter what the geographic location is, and includes hybrid events. So their hands-on approach includes marketing strategies, training, and planning with their very experienced team. So thank you, David, very much for joining us today.
Hi, Sharon. It's great to be here. Good afternoon.
Well, thank you. Well, we're very pleased to have you. As you will recall, Resort Trades was one of your first timeshare industry-oriented clients.
Yes, I do remember that very well, actually.
Yeah, you got us started after the COVID lockdown. So that said, tell us a little bit about the Contact Group.
Sure. It's kind of fun to be on the other side of the virtual wall here with you interviewing me. And it was a pleasure to get you started and help Resort Trades pivot to virtual events right when COVID hit using our proprietary platform. I think you got a taste of how professional and how organized with a run of show. Today we're actually, for our clients, producing what in effect is a 1-hour TV show. But first, I got to say kudos. I love the Learning Center. I've been there frequently. Some of the events that I miss, like the interview with Michael Brown, I went back and looked at that. Very engaging resource for you. And as a client of yours now, I think it's a great thing for a client to be able to speak to your audience. So I'm going to give you, I guess, a little enhanced virtual good karma and kudos. And we'll start with why. Why the Contact Group? I think it's important to start at why. In 2001, we founded the Contact Group, and our goal has been and still is today to empower our clients to engage in a genuine conversation with their audience, those that matter most to them, their members, their stakeholders. And that genuine conversation is a dynamic two-way virtual event, either all virtual or hybrid. We'll talk more about that. And at the end of the day, we're helping that client really build trust. And that's a hard thing to do in this day and age. So it's an enhanced virtual event. They are inviting their target audience to the table, and we take as many questions live throughout the event. It's a very dynamic, if you will, conversation. And we've been very successful on a daily basis working as a strategic partner with our clients. We want to understand their communication objectives. We want to understand their audience, and that changes for some different events. And lastly, we understand their pain points. Are they, a lot of the companies we work with have some strains and pain points with their human resources or with their technical resources. And that's where we can really shine and come in as a partner. It's been a fun ride. We were probably one of the first companies to host virtual events in 2005. It was all telephone based then, telephone town halls. We compete in the campaigns and election space. That's been our main segment, if you will. We competed in that Super Bowl, the past 5 presidential cycles. So we're very blessed to be able to take that success and go into other industries. And I'm going to talk specifically about kind of what COVID has brought to us. We've also been very fortunate that our client base has expanded during COVID. So enhanced virtual events are resonating with different segments of industry and organizations. In 2021, we brought on a lot of public sector clients. We'll show a clip today from the San Antonio Transportation Department, or VIA. They engaged the Contact Group. They used to have about 50 people show up for their physical events. and they had an initiative on a ballot in 2020, Sharon. We did 10 events for them. They got the ballot passed by 68% of the voters. So, in all their events,
kudos.
Exciting. And all their events are simulcast in Spanish, which is neat too. So we have that capability to really reach that audience. We've also done work for Arizona Department of Transportation, Capital Corridors, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area. It's a transit authority. That was simulcast in Mandarin, Chinese. That was a first for us. That was kind of neat. Other industries, PR firms. We brought on Judy Kenninger and Kenninger Communications in 2021. We hosted an annual meeting for one of her clients, an electrical cooperative, had 26,000 members, very successful event. We've done some nonprofits, new ones, and organizations. We hosted an event in 2020, I think, for CARE and Linda Mayhew's annual meeting. They had to go all virtual quickly. So this enhanced communication, enhanced virtual events is really, I think, important in today's marketplace, in today's world of trying to communicate with your audience.
I did want to ask about your use of Zoom. Should we be looking to replace all Zoom communications with a different platform?
That's a good question, Sharon. The contact group has used Zoom for probably 4 years now. So that's pre-pandemic. We love it. It's convenient. It's simple for internal communications, for a small audience. I think a lot of those platforms that are in that space, if you will, Cisco's WebEx, you've got GoToMeeting, you've got, we're on Webinar Jam right now. So if you are looking for a small audience, and they have breakout rooms, which I think is good too. If you have that as a communication objective. So I would say, look at your audience size, your communication objectives, and a key thing for this building of trust. We'll talk more about that. I talked to Bob Kovac yesterday at Customer Count, wanted to see what all of his surveys are coming in from the hospitality sectors. And he told me trust is at the top of the list. Okay. So, and you and I spoke about this briefly too. I think why you need to look at enhanced virtual events today, because the novelty of Zoom and some of those other virtual events has worn off over 2 years. People's bandwidth with what's going on in the world today is limited. And if you do not engage them and increase that participation of your audience, you risk further disenfranchising them and losing that trust or not maintaining it. And once you do that, it's not good for any company that's looking to thrive in today's environment. So I think we can, if you want to, we can talk a little bit about our proprietary platform. We talk about the why. Again, we want to empower our clients to build trust with the audience that matters most to them and discuss the things that matter most with them. So our proprietary platform, which has evolved since 2005, a couple of unique features. One is that we dial out to invite people to the list. If they pre-registered or if you have consent to dial them or text them, we'll dial out and invite them to the event. They'll get a call a couple of days before, letting them know about the event. So you touch them. We want to make sure that you get as much people pre-registered for any event that you can. And some of our clients, as a little secret too, have on the landing page for the pre-registration, we'll do a short video. This is why you need to attend. This is what we're going to be talking about. That's been helpful with some engagement. But when you dial out and invite people, like we've done with the San Antonio Transportation Department, another organization that we brought on new was OATS, Older Adults Technology Services. It's wholly owned by AARP. So we had some events where we had over 5,000 attendees for their events. So, that ability to dial out, they just can opt in at that point in time, stay on the line. They're transferred into the event automatically, and the event starts shortly thereafter. So that's a very unique, we make their phone ring. That's kind of a, little secret sauce there that's unique.
Results of the last poll, and then we can move on to a second poll. Have you felt a decrease in your stakeholder trust or engagement over the last 2 years? And it's about 50-50 saying some, and the other 50 very little.
And that's good to know, I think. And I think that will, potentially increase if you don't look at, all your communication objectives and trying to enhance some of these virtual events too, I think. So that's interesting. So let me talk about the other features real quick, and then we can play a short video clip, which I think will demonstrate our technical capabilities and also show you how the managed Q&A, taking questions live. It's really the most important thing, I think, in a dynamic, enhanced virtual event, Sharon. And it creates a sense of transparency. Anyone that raises their hand in our event when they're on the phone goes into a queue, and we have 2 team members that screen those callers. Okay, so they're taking them out of the event briefly, saying, "Hi, thank you for joining us today. What is your question for our expert panelists?" And maybe where you're calling from, or when's the last time you visited the resort. They capture some information, they transcribe the question, and then they can also take notes. This person speaks well. This person has a bad connection. This person's angry. You might still take that question, but you have those notes. And here's where the transparency comes out. When you take that question live, the audience, the other members get to hear that person's tone, their inflection, and their perspective. And that gives them a chance to either empathize, sympathize, or not agree at all. And you have your subject matter expert panelists answering those questions, so they're not calling into an 800 number. They're not going online. They're frequently asked questions. This is a dynamic exchange where you're creating a sense of transparency and building that trust. So in our events, we're going to talk to them and run a show to, ask for questions early and often. And then you take them live. And the beautiful part about that is if the person goes off, starts veering off, and I hear in the hospitality sector and talking to potential clients a lot, Sharon, is that we don't want to have general gripe sessions. Okay, well, we can avoid those, which is important. So if the person asks their question and starts veering off course, very simple for the moderator, and I've moderated hundreds of these. It's just, we appreciate your question. We're going to put you back into the event. We're going to answer that question, and we'd like our chief marketing officer to take that question. And we have a limited amount of time today, so we're going to try to get to as many questions as possible. Therefore,
That's
you
what
manage.
I like about your system is that you allow for a lot more interaction. Give the results of our other poll. Do you feel your organization has the necessary tools to combat the shifts that have taken place in the last couple of years, and perhaps those still to come? And most people felt they were moderately equipped.
Right. That's good. And that's, I think, let me speak to some of our experiences too. With the event we hosted for Judy Kenninger's client, they had a videographer there, and we do a technical assessment for each remote video site, and a dress rehearsal and a runner show. In our technical assessment, we realized the videographer did not have the correct equipment to take the video link and put it onto the platform. So someone ran out to Best Buy, got that. This is a day or two before the event, so that went off without a hitch. But that gives you, I think, a taste of the experience and the value we can bring to make sure that these events go smoothly. In the TCG experience, we have a saying, Sharon, and I think you saw this in our editorial and article that we have coming up in your April edition, which I think also is available with the files here. We say keep it smart, simple, instead of keep it stupid, simple, right? It's KISS, keep it smart, simple. And that really is, speaks to kind of our approach to the how. How do we, make these events enhanced and successful and more engaging and more participation? There's really 3 phases. You've got the pre-event phase where you're trying to drive people to pre-register. You're advertising all your channels on who's going to be there. We like to say we're going to take as many questions live so that people want to know that they can actually, have their voice heard in these events, and do the test run, do the dress rehearsal, do the technical assessment. And that's, all the work in the runner show too. So we're cutting in. You'll see this with our video clip that we'll play here in a second. The second phase is the actual event itself, right? So we want to make sure that you have poll questions if you want those, if that's part of the communication objective. And we can play videos. We can have it in language for other languages, play slides, different things like that. So we want to make sure that the event is hosted as flawlessly as possible. We do, final sound checks, final video checks, both upstream and downstream to make sure the video works well. And finally, this is one that is really, I think, groups don't give it enough credence and don't spend enough time as post-event. What are you going to do with all that material? And we provide a lot of good, robust reports, which I don't think you get from some of the other platforms. So we will tell you how long the person was on the event. Did they go into the queue to ask a question? Was their question taken live? Did they participate in the poll? What was their answer? So we do a post-event evaluation kind of huddle up, and we have in plan, people that maybe answered a certain poll question a certain way, we're going to send them this communication. People that, had another question, we're going to do this for them. So you are taking that information and using it to create more trust, to create more engagement, and to build a better event, the next event that you have. I want to give a little background on this. So what we're trying to do, this is a short 90-second clip, I think, of an event with VIA, the San Antonio Metropolitan Transportation Department. Gives you an idea of the technical expertise we bring to actually, what I'm saying is produce a 1-hour television show. It doesn't have to be an hour, but most events are, about 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And we have a ticker that can run at the bottom. We can have calls to action. And this gives you an example of the moderated Q&A. So once that person gets screened through a backstage kind of chat, they can say, let's take that next question from Sharon. That sounds like a good question.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is John Gary Herrera, Senior Vice President of Public Engagement for VIA Metropolitan Transit. Thank you for joining our live interactive telephone town hall. Tonight, our panel will be discussing what comes next for Keep SA Moving, Keep San Antonio Moving, a comprehensive plan to transform our region through transit and provide mobility options. As our region continues its rapid expansion and growth, the future of transit has never been more important. So today at this event, we'd like to give not only ourselves a chance to speak to you directly, but we'd like to hear from you as well. Our phone participants, we'd like to invite you to watch the live stream by visiting keepsanantoniomoving.com. Click on the Events tab at the top of the page, and you'll find the streaming player there. To ask questions live, please stay on the phone. For our attendees participating on the web, you can submit your questions in the chat box in the streaming player. Meanwhile, we have another live caller, Gregory. Gregory, I am not going to steal your thunder in this case. I am going to ask if you're on the line and you can ask your question.
Yes, I am on the line. And one of the questions that I had to ask is, will this advanced rapid travel and the mobility on demand, will that be ubiquitous throughout the service, or that's only in selected areas?
Sure. I can jump in and take that. I think the first question was where advanced rapid transit will travel. And so we currently have two lines that.
So what do you think about that, Sharon?
Well, I think that's great. I love the ability to get questions and live answers from the guests, and that's very helpful. This might be a good opportunity. Our third poll has received some answers.
Okay.
And the question was, do you think your organization's outreach strategy can be improved? And 100% of the audience said yes. So I think that's a good self-awearness.
Yeah, absolutely. That is good. So at that point in time of that video, again, we're taking those questions live. To me, that gives everyone that's listening a sense of community. And once normally people hear that, then they have more opt-in to actually ask their questions too. That's that dramatically increased engagement, which leads to the building of the trust, and it ultimately leads to loyalty too, which is and that transparency. If you read the questions, there's not that transparency, I think, when someone actually speaks their own question to the audience. And you're not going to trust someone that you don't think is being transparent. So that's a real key differentiator from our platform and other platforms out there in the marketplace today. So I think we've covered a lot of the information that we had here. I'm looking over my notes, Sharon. I know you are too.
Well, I just wondered why your platform or the contact group's platform is worth investing in. I think you pretty much explained it, but
yeah, we could talk. We could talk a little bit about the cost too. So we have a special offer too, in which is on the screen there. So for up to 2,500 invitees for an introductory offer, our charge is $975, and we do 95% of the heavy lifting, which is, some of our clients don't have the technical expertise or the bandwidth to do what we do. And also the resources and experience we bring to bear there. As you increase the number of attendees or invitees, I should say, the cost goes up, but on a per invitee basis, it goes down. So, we think we're comparative to a direct mail campaign as far as a per invitee, but our engagement levels are extremely and dramatically higher than the static type of communication, whether it's a direct mail, email, things like that. Those are all important potentially in your overall communication strategy. But what we offer for enhanced virtual event is unique, and the return on objectives we think is second to none for today's companies that want to build that trust with their target audience.
well, as a past client, I can really attest that I love how you walk people through and help with so much, like you say, 95% of the heavy lifting. So
that's a great testimonial, and I think it's and once someone tries this, I think they'll understand the value. It's like anything. So part of our challenge has been in this hospitality sector is really get the word out in this resort trades with our ad and our article. We're really excited about that. We've got the ARDA spring conference coming up, which I've never been to. I've been to two of the fall ones, but I've never been to the spring one. So it's nice to be able to travel again. Some things are getting back to normal, the new normal and virtual events. So really is, I think, if you don't enhance it and increase that engagement, transparency, and in participation, then you might lose the trust that you've worked so hard to build with your audience.
Well said. Well said. Well, David, it's really been a pleasure having you here as you are kind of our mentor and got us started down this path.
It's a proud parent moment.
Yes, that's right. Well, we could probably ongoing continue to use your direction and guidance too, because you really have so much experience.
Thank you, Sharon. It's been a pleasure. And if anyone, I'm always available to talk this type of stuff. As you can see, I'm pretty passionate about it. This has been a great run and a great journey, and we're looking forward to bringing more clients on board for us to build that trust in the hospitality sector. And we thank you for all your help too.
Oh, well, thank you. And I would encourage everybody to take advantage of the special offer. It really is a great service, and I think it's a excellent value. So thanks again, David. And by the way, I'd encourage our audience to go ahead and sign into a YouTube /resort trades and see any of our virtual other meetings and events. And while you're there, please subscribe and give us a like, and a comment is always helpful.